trying to get everything set up here on my settings, and I'm gonna go over a couple details from Sakagawa no Kun and from Chiki no Kun, and they're related to each other somewhat. Gosh, the sun is like got the right where it's annoying. Um, so one of them is the hand switch. Okay, so from Sakagawa no Kun, there's a movement where we do from this. When we go to an angle where we switch here, we step through, and then we do kind of the rest of the remnant sequence. So we end up here. Boom. And then instead of swinging this hand and moving in like this, we go straight from here, no grip switch, move right into the block. Right? And then the grip switch occurs. So from right here, boom, now we're switching the top hand to hit down like that, either knocking their bow down or striking to the head. And then we switch the rear hand to do the same thing, either knocking the bow down or striking to the head, and bring that through. So it's from here, no wind up, no hand switch, move straight in, and then switch this top hand as you hit down, switch this hand as you come through. And that's different in Shikinokun, because in Shikinokun you're going from here, you're going to switch both hands as you step around. So switch, boom, and block here. So straight from here, boom, switch the front hand, switch the rear hand, and you're here to go into your left hand. All right. So those are the differences in the hand switches there. Detail we learned in the seminars from Shikinokun. Kinjo Kaicho said that on this movement where we hit down, so there's a movement where you go down and you can either go down and straight in, or you can go down up and you gotta bounce with that one and go straight in. I like the bounce one when I can hit the ground. All right, so I'm outside and I can actually hit the ground a little bit and bounce off that. And same thing if you really have a weapon. Let's say I just blocked a weapon. Boom, I'm here. I can knock that weapon down. It shouldn't be a lean, it should be a drop. So you drop to knock that weapon down, boom, and then drive straight in. So you can either drop up in or drop straight in, depending on your situation. Then there's one more detail I want to address, and that's with turn. So I'm trying to think of where the turn is that there's kind of an odd movement. So Kinjo Kaicho, he's talking about sometimes turning on your heels. I'm wearing flip-flops, so I'm not sure how this is going to work, or if it's going to work well. So there's a movement. Let's see, you have completed boom, 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 going here. I'm lost in the kata. Where is that turn at? All right, I might have to just do the kata. All right. Onegaishimasu. Here. Switch. I'm gonna throw this bow. For real. With the sun in my eyes. Okay, I found the spot. God. Okay, so I'm here. I did my kamai, and now I'm gonna spin and block up. I really can't do it in my flip-flops. But from this Kamae, what Kinjo Kaicho is saying is you're in this Neko Ashidachi. You're gonna kind of shift your weight onto this heel, and you're gonna spin around on this front heel to block up like this. And he was specifically talking about that spot, but there's also other spots and other katas where you could really do that. So normally speaking, you would go from you keep the weight on the ball, the front of the foot, but he's going back on the heel. Yeah, I'm blinding myself. So yeah, when you get to that spot, boom, shifting the weight to the heel, turning around, block up. Boom, boom. So anyhow, those are kind of the main concepts. Sorry for getting lost a little bit there, but grip switch differences in those two katas, and then dropping the weight, kind of dropping down instead of leaning forward. The two options on whether you can bounce back up and thrust in or go straight from hitting down to thrusting in, and then spinning around the heel on that turn. And I think there's some other places where you could try that too. I don't know if I love that, but Kinjo Kaicho is making some points about how it makes a tighter turn. So in terms of physics, like centrifugal force, the tighter you make that turn, the faster the turn is at the innermost point, the faster whatever's going around it is gonna move. So if you turn something fast like this, boom, then whatever's out here, it's going to propel at a faster rate of speed. So that is true. It's just we spend so much time in the combat arts talking about keeping the weight on the fronts of your feet, and generally in a fighting situation you can kind of see who's winning based on who's back on their heels, who's flat-footed, and who's got their weight on the fronts of their feet and is more mobile. Usually that person's the one who wins the fight. In self-defense, keeping being a little light on your feet, being able to move your feet, that if you're confident, if you know what you're doing, that could lead to being able to escape and run away. Sometimes I've seen where people are trying to be light on their feet and they're used to a dojo or matted environment. They don't train outside, they don't train in uneven terrain at all, and then they trip on something. They trip on a curb, or they trip on their own shoes, and then they fall, and so that can backfire. So think about kind of being light on your feet, keeping the weight on the fronts of your feet usually, but Kinjo Kaicho is talking about maybe a few exceptions where you can generate a little more rotational power by pivoting on the heel as opposed to on the front of the foot. So something to play with, not something I would start beginners on, but maybe advanced students, they can think around with that a little bit and see if they can find some appropriate situations where they could do it, where they can do that without it interfering with their technique or interfering with kind of that principle of wanting to usually keep your weight on the fronts of your feet. All right, have a great day. Strength and honor.